Would the NBA be more fun if they limited the amount of threes a team could take?
All right, go to ESPN.com. Kevin Arvitz has a fascinating story up about really the effect of the three-pointer on the current NBA game and people who are in the game who recognize maybe, just maybe, this whole thing has gone a little bit too far when you start realizing what used to be record-breaking numbers not that long ago, 15 years ago, but have you at the bottom of the league in three-pointers attempted per game by team. It has shifted greatly because people woke up one day and realized not simply that 3 is greater than 2, but that 3 is 50% greater than 2. There's a math problem with the setup in the current NBA. The problem is the three-pointer also creates a level of spacing that allows for the game to be far less congested than it used to be. It has provided benefits. To me, what they need to do is widen the court and move the three-point line out. It has become a shot that is a little bit too easy if the game is going to be played in this way and people are going to shoot as many of them as they do. Because what you get as a result of people shooting all those threes, you get a lot more blowouts. You get a lot more playoff series that not just have blowouts, but swing from team to team because of the high variance of whether or not your team is making three-pointers on a given night. So I am an old-ish type person who thinks that the three-pointer is going a little bit too far in the modern game, but I think it has to be kept because otherwise you don't want to go back to the way we used to be living, even if you remember it nostalgically.
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult in that way to sell it just because while basketball isn't baseball, it's still a sport where we love the generational comparisons enough to say changing the dimensions might be a difficult thing. But I think one of the easy fixes, and the NFL kind of saw this during this last season because I remember Kevin Seifert wrote this article about a month into the year that through 48 games, they were calling 59% fewer holding penalties than they had the year before. They were calling 45% less than they had in the 5 years prior. And no one watching cared because scoring was up, games were moving faster. You took away the thing that was obstructing where you wanted the game to go. And I think for this, I think it was Dwayne Casey that brought it up in this article. Open three-pointers and the prevalency of them are still predicated on getting penetration first. And when you take all of the ability of defenders to guard those guys going through the lane out of basketball, it makes it a lot tougher. So I think if you just make the edict to officials, hey, we're going to allow a little more contact for guys directly defending that guy who's usually the party starter on offense here, you might be able to get back to a more balanced version of the game without necessarily having to overtly change things too much.
I think in general, the question being, can adding more rules make this more fun is like, not usually, but it does require you to take a look at the rules you have and make sure that they form the game that you want to play. I also would just like to say, as a person who isn't anti-analytics, but has been very open about the fact that they don't increase my enjoyment of the game, mostly because I don't understand them. I was very early on the 3 is greater than 2 train. It is the only analytical statement in regards to numbers and math that I've ever made on this program or otherwise. I have said, I don't know a lot about math, but 3 is bigger than 2. And now here I see all these smart people coming out being like, 3 is 50% bigger than 2. And I'm like, scoops, I had that first. And I want a little bit of credit.
Let's give Katie all the credit for recognizing that 3 is greater than 2. Nobody thought about that before. That is all you. Now, Golo, you make a good point, though, about contact. And here's a good reason to bring contact back into the NBA, because a lot of y'all are too young to recognize the day where being good at defense was about being good with this forearm, right? If we get some more contact out there, maybe we can get some more fights. Like, do you realize that we have a whole generation of basketball fans who have never seen their favorite players ever get into a fight? When I was a kid, I saw all my favorite players get into fights at some point. It allowed for a whole new level of argument. Blame the three-pointer, because everything that comes around incentivizing it stops us from seeing our favorite basketball players fight.
We have a generation of people who see like the biggest stars get in a banana boat together instead of seeing them get into a fracas.
And this goes back to Bo's original point about college basketball and Gonzaga is we need more dudes getting in and starting fights at the college level so that these players are used to this when they get to the NBA. So all of a sudden it's not a culture shock the first time you get a forearm thrown into your chest and you're expected to actually swing and not just hold me back, and get outside of the circle with everybody.
We want blood today.
That's right.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.